What's up everyone? You're watching Degreeless Engineering, a channel where we engineer using experience. This episode we're talking yet again about my 1989 4Runner, more specifically how to protect this fancy paint job I got that seems to be taking some damage. Let's get into it. So over the past few washes, I started noticing some damage to my quarter panel here. Mainly, looks like some rocks are flying up, and as you see, I've got mud flaps, but maybe they're not big enough. Either way, things happen, rocks are gonna fly up, that's kind of unavoidable. What I wanna do is add some sort of protective device here that prevents that damage from occurring. Now I know what you're saying, they already have that out. They actually came on the Toyotas of that year. The problem with those, that those trap moisture and dirt, that leads to rust, and obviously we don't want that. I have something a little bit different in mind that will accomplish the same thing and still look great, but prevent the water ingress and prevent rust damage. It is a heavy-duty vinyl wrap from Vivid. Now Vivid is pretty well known for selling their vinyl wraps on Amazon. I like their products are very good. I found this just by chance looking for some kind of heavy-duty textured vinyl, something to protect these areas, and to my surprise I actually had something. This is called Vivid Indestructible Black Paint Vinyl Wrap. That's what it's called on Amazon, and this stuff is gnarly. It has a very coarse texture, almost like a bed liner. It's PVC coated, so it's very durable. And what sold me on it was a Amazon review video of a guy dragging a knife blade, what appeared to be a knife blade or maybe some scissors over it back and forth, and it's not scratching, it's not tarnishing, it looked perfect after he did that. And the reviews overall were good. There were really only a few negative reviews, mainly being that it was kind of hard to install, which I guess it's to be expected because it is like a thicker, more durable material, but I mean, just feeling it overall, it feels pretty flexible. I think with a heat gun, we can manage. The other negative review was that it does shrink a little bit, and I think that's kind of to be expected with most vinyl wraps. That's why they have you like wrap over certain areas to make sure when it does shrink, it dries up, heats up, everything kind of really sets in, that it doesn't really show as bad. We'll account for that. So the plan is to use masking tape. We're going to kind of plaster it over the general area. Then I'm going to take a Sharpie, kind of trace out the body lines that I want to follow. We're going to peel that off carefully, place it onto a flat surface like maybe a piece of cardboard, take an overhead picture, and what I'm going to do with that picture is import it into my computer, drop it into Fusion 360 as a canvas so that I can 3D print a template that will give me repeatable results. I will be dropping both the STL file and the actual image file onto printables, maybe Bambu's new thing, whatever, doesn't really matter, but I want to give it to you guys for free. I'll put those links below in the description. You guys can grab those and use them how you'd like. All right, got everything ready. What we're gonna need: paper towels, tape, all-purpose cleaner of some sort, Sharpie, and of course, somewhere for me to sit my fat ass. I'm gonna clean this surface here, get it all prepped and ready. Gonna put some tape down and get it ready for tracing. All right, so we've got our masking tape on, and it doesn't look great, but it doesn't have to. Got it pressed up against our quarter panel fender line here, just the body line, trying to keep it as bubble free as possible. You know, sometimes it's difficult trying to find the body line there. You're just kind of feeling where everything goes. I wrapped it all the way down to the bottom here because kind of how the factory one was, except the factory one just kind of stopped here and just ran straight back. And while I can do that, and I think it would probably look fine, I kind of want to try something that looks a little bit different. Maybe something that looks better, hopefully, by kind of coming up a little bit higher and maybe tapering off and doing kind of a cool step design, which I may add another piece of tape here just to do something different. Should offer a little more protection because we're not sitting so low on the body. Probably the most difficult part about this whole process here is going to be removing this tape in one piece, maintaining the shape of it and placing it onto a piece of flat cardboard. From there, we'll give it a try. We'll take and throw it in the computer, section it up, print out a template, glue it up, and see if once we cut it out, how it's gonna fit. So I think I'm going to just kind of come forward a little bit here, trying to follow this line. May get off of this stool. Obviously don't want to put marker on your vehicle if you can help it, but you know, shit happens. Okay, and then we're gonna come down here. Now, I don't really know what I'm gonna do in this general area here. I could do that post all of this, just kind of come up with something later. I've got a little bit of a body line here that maybe I can stack into, you know, I could add a little piece here. You could really just do whatever you want, but I kind of like to follow certain lines since this has got kind of a little point at this body line here and then another one there. I could do something real cute there, but I also want to maintain protection of this fender here. So I do want to come up on top of that a little bit, maybe not all the way back here. I could just come down at an angle, could do something like a little lightning bolt. You can really be creative with this. Okay, as you can see, this looks like shit. Now it looks like a mess here. I initially was thinking maybe coming up high, kind of swooping down, but I think that would just be too much. It'd just be too much material. Then I was thinking, you know, I'll try to do like a little mountain range. Maybe that would be cool. No, I thought about coming out here, coming down and then doing some stripes. Maybe that would look cool, but again, I think that would just be too much of a chunk of material here. So I brought everything down, kept everything nice and flat, drop it back down here, come down. Instead of coming over on this little section, I went straight down and across the bottom. So I'm just using my cell phone camera and I'm basically just getting the phone nice and flat, and I'm about, say, 2.5 feet away. Try to get as center over the top of it as I can. Basically, if I drop my phone right now, it'll land nice and flat. That's the way you're trying to envision this. What if my phone made that sound? Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so I've got a few pictures. I'm gonna kind of take the best one. I think that one looks really good. So we're gonna take that. I'm gonna send that to myself via electronic mail, and yeah, we'll drop it into Fusion 360, see if we can make it work. Get it to work, we'll print it out, add some PETG or something, super glue it together, cut a piece of vinyl out, and see how the hell it looks. I've got all the parts printed out. We're gonna tape these together in the correct orientation, lay it on top of a piece of this vinyl, and use an X-Acto knife to cut it out. So first, I wanna tape these together. There we have it. Important thing to note, you want to make sure everything is as even as possible. Make sure that the tape isn't really hanging over. That way, when you are cutting the vinyl, you're not going to snag on the tape. So we're going to clean off a spot on the truck, but I want to get my heat gun ready. I'm really digging the shape. I hope you guys are too. Whew, that is hot, boy.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so it's been a while since I've been able to get back on this project, but what I'm gonna do to put on this Vivid heavy duty vinyl wrap is take what I currently have, stick it on there, trim off the excess, peel it off carefully without stretching it, put it onto a fresh piece of that vinyl, and then basically trim around it with some scissors. So I know I've got the exact shape. Once I have that, then I can take the paper backing and use that as my template for the other side. I had to bail from the original piece because there was too much hanging over in certain areas and not enough in other areas, and I knew over time it was going to capture water, dirt, peel off. It wasn't sticking very well. I don't think I cleaned the surface well enough, so that's why I'm using alcohol to clean it this time to make sure that it's clean. While I was prepping this side, I noticed a paint chip, and the new heavy duty vinyl does not cover that spot. So that's really cool, but probably need to do some paint touch up on that anyway, so it's fine. We'll touch it up and hopefully we won't have another rock hit in that same exact spot again. So I've got my heat gun, got my vinyl. I'm not going to spray any water down because I had a really difficult time getting it sticking last time. So I'm just going to stick it on there the best I can and carefully cut the excess off with an X-Acto blade. And I'm trying to keep this area as flat and level as I can, but at the same time, I want it to be closer to this edge here because it starts to slope out, and I know stuff could bounce up and potentially hit in this area where it doesn't look like it's sloping down here, but I guess that doesn't really matter. I'm just being picky. So I use the heat gun to get it to kind of lay a little bit flatter in certain areas. That way I kind of know where I want to make my cuts. And I think I'm going to stay basically on this edge here, which I didn't really want to do. But if I stay on this edge here, I can follow that down, slope down in this edge as well. Everything under here will be exposed, but it's not really something you see when you're just looking at the vehicle, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Okay, so I've got my nice X-Acto knife, got a Sharpie, because where it really is on the paint here, I don't want to damage the paint by cutting with a blade. I know you can apply a certain amount of pressure. That's how a lot of people do it, but I'm not a professional vinyl wrapper or a wrapper of any kind.
I'm not a rapper.
So I just want to make sure I don't damage the paint. Bottom side, I'm just gonna try to do my best to draw a Sharpie line where I think it would be the most manageable. It's nice and sharp. Always be careful with your blades. Make sure I don't dig into the paint. Okay, and I think I can peel it off. We'll place it on a new piece of vinyl. I'll get that cut out and I'll see you guys here in a minute. Okay, so here's hopefully the finished product. I don't think we're gonna be able to get away with this without doing some kind of trimming because of the complicated curves that we have down here, but damn it, we're gonna do the best we can. Let's get to sticking. First things first, let's clean it. Again, stuff is a little bit different than typical vinyl because it is so stiff. And if you are a professional vinyl wrapper, person who wraps vinyls professionally, whatever you want to call yourself, got some tips and tricks for us noobs, and I am all ears because this stuff, I've done a few wraps, I've done my jet skis. This stuff's a little bit different though because it is so thick. Come down a little bit lower, we're getting there though. Oh. This is such a pain in the ass. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I've got a little gap here on the edge of the paint, inside edge of the fender. I didn't want it to be sticking right here on this corner. If I did, that much material with it being that thick, it's not gonna wanna stick. So I'm coming off of it like a 1/16 to an 1/8. Patience is key when you're working with this material. Take your time, don't pull too hard. You'll stretch the material. Make sure that you're being mindful of how close you are to the edge here, where you're landing in this little pocket. As you start coming down, you see it starting to wrinkle, and that's what the heat gun is for. So beyond this pocket here, my biggest concern is maintaining this edge and the spacing that I have there. Everything else, I'm gonna try to smooth out with the heat gun. And if it doesn't look good, we'll do it again. Of course, 5,000 bubbles. Yeah, always be mindful of air bubbles, and with this texture it's kind of hard to see it. Again, like I said, I'm trying to maintain this edge over here. It's the most important thing to me, maintaining this edge all the way down. Make sure you have a nice stool, something to sit on so you're comfortable, because I can use this as like a heat gun attachment for my you know what I want to say. Can't say it though. I don't want to get monetized, demonetized, whatever they call it. It's getting a little warm. I want to overheat it because it'll stretch closer to the bottom here. Again, it's not gonna be perfect at the bottom. You really just want it to look the best around here anyways, and it's looking really good so far. Yeah, this stuff gets real stretchy. Most vinyl wraps do, but everything else up here looks perfect. And then I get down here and it turns into a wrinkly piece of shit. Now get down on the ground, do my best, or my worst. So here is the finished product. Got it all tacked down with a heat gun. Again, a heat gun is required for this product. If you don't have it, it's not gonna stick. It needs the heat gun to activate the glue. Plus the heat gun is very helpful with knocking down those high ridges. The material kind of shrinks up a little bit. It helps you maneuver the material a little bit easier too if you need to stretch it in certain areas. I do have now a paper template we know and have verified that this fits, I'm going to take this piece of paper and photocopy it, put it in. I think an 11 by 17 sheet of paper will fit this. If not, you can print it out on 2 separate pieces and cut it out, tape it together, and make your own template. Put this on a piece of wood, cut it out of a piece of wood, and have it make a bunch of them. Whatever you want to do. Either way, let's get you a closer look. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want any kind of feedback you guys can offer. I might throw these up in my eBay store. If you want one, you gotta let me know. Otherwise, I'm not gonna make a bunch of these if they're just gonna sit on my shelf. If you want one, let me know. I'll respond to your comments. I'll put them up on my eBay store and you guys can buy a set for your 4Runner. Pretty sure this will probably fit a Tacoma as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is Degreeless Engineering, a channel where we engineer using experience. In this project, I will say, I gained a lot of experience and I hope you guys did too. Thank you so much for watching.